friction, pressure, and density. By the end of this topic, you will be able to describe friction, pressure, and density. Friction is a force that opposes the motion of one body over the surface of the other body. It is dependent on the irregularities of both the body surfaces. Even surfaces that appear to be smooth also have microscopic irregularities that obstruct motion. Friction reduces the net force and the resulting acceleration. Force of friction can be reduced by something which fills the small humps and cracks which impede motion. For example, a small quantity of powder on carom board can fill up these bumps and cracks. Therefore, a coin in a powdered carom travels much farther than on an unpowdered board. Types of friction. There are three types of friction. Static friction. Static friction is friction between two or more solid objects that are not moving relative to each other. For example, static friction can prevent an object from sliding down a sloped surface. Sliding friction. Sliding friction is the opposing force that arises when one body is actually sliding over the surface of the other body. For example, sledding on the snow. Rolling friction. Rolling friction is the force between the rolling object and the surface it rolls on. For example, wheels of a moving bike or skateboard. Fluid friction. Fluid friction is the force that occurs when an object moves through a fluid, which can be liquid or gas. For example, swimming or skydiving. Force of friction is helpful to us in various ways. It is the force of friction which prevents us from slipping when we walk on the road. If this force was absent, we would hardly get a grip on the road. The wheels of vehicles are made rough in order to increase the force of friction. Smooth wheels or oily roads can make the motion of the vehicle uncontrollable and lead to accidents. Friction can be disadvantageous in the following ways. Some part of force as energy is wasted to overcome the friction between different parts of a machine. Speed of vehicles is reduced and it wears out the rubbing surface. Thrust and pressure. Thrust is the force which causes compression. The SI unit of thrust is Newton, where 1 Newton is equal to 1 kilogram meter per second square. Pressure. The force acting normally on the unit area of a surface is called pressure. Let us perform an activity to study the effect of thrust on a body in relation to its area of contact with another body. We will require a wooden cone around 12 centimeters long such that the area of the broad end is 5 centimeters square or more and r of smaller end is 1 centimeter square or less. Large amount of wet sand, 1 kg weight or a brick. Spread the wet sand on the floor such that it layers 3 centimeters thick. Now place the cone on the sand such that its broad end is in contact with the sand. Gently place 1 kilogram weight on the narrow end of the cone. Remove the cone and measure the depression produced in the sand. We will repeat this activity with the narrow end of the cone. Now, observe that the depression formed is more than that of the broad end. The effect of compressive force is different in both the cases because the difference in the area of cross section of the cone in contact with the sand. This effect of thrust on the given area of cross section is called pressure. If F is the force acting normally on a surface of area of cross section A, then pressure P is equal to F by A. Pressure is directly proportional to the force applied on a surface. Pressure is inversely proportional to the area of cross section of the surface. The SI unit of pressure is Newton per meter square. The unit of pressure is expressed in Pascal, PA, in the honor of physicist Blaise Pascal. 1 Pascal is equal to 1 Newton per meter square. A camel can easily cross a desert in comparison to a horse because the foot area of a camel is very large. Thus, it exerts very less pressure on sand and its feet do not sink in the sand. Rear wheels of a bus and trucks are provided with double wheels, which increase the area of cross-section and decrease the pressure. It prevents the rear wheels from sinking in the ground. The skiers use flat and long skis to slide on the snow because it exerts less pressure on the snow. Hence, the skiers easily slide over the snow without sinking in it. Pressure in fluids. When pressure is applied on an enclosed mass of fluid, it is transmitted through the liquid undiminished. Hydraulic press and hydraulic brakes are based on this principle. Upthrust of or force of buoyancy. The upward force experienced by a body when partly or wholly immersed in a fluid is called upthrust or buoyant force. Floating and sinking. When an object is placed on the surface of water, then two surfaces act on the object. The gravitational force equivalent to the weight of the object pulls the object in the downward direction. The upthrust force on the object acts in the upward direction of the object. An object floats on the surface of water if the upthrust force of water on the object is greater than the weight of the object. Archimedes principle. This principle states that when a body is immersed partially or completely in a fluid, it experiences an upthrust that is equal to the weight of the fluid displaced by the immersed parts of the body. Upthrust force is equal to weight of fluid displaced by the body equals to weight of the body in air minus weight of the body in the fluid. Let us tie a stone with a hook of a spring balance. The spring balance stretches due to the weight of the stone, and the pointer shows the weight of the stone. Now, dip the stone in water and we will find that the extension of the spring decreases and the pointer shows the weight of the stone in water. This weight of stone in water is less than the weight of stone in air. Density and relative density. Density is the measure of how much mass occupies a given space. The mass per unit volume of a substance is called its density. Relative density. It is defined as the ratio of density of the substance to the density of the water. That is, relative density of the substance is equal to density of the substance by density of water. Since density is equal to mass of substance by volume, therefore density of substance is equal to mass of substance by volume of substance. Density of water is equal to mass of water by volume of water. Substituting these equations in equation 1, we get mass of substance by mass of water into volume of water by volume of substance. When volume of substance is equal to volume of water, then equation 2 becomes mass of any volume of substance by mass of an equal volume of water. Hence, relative density of a substance is defined as the ratio of the mass of any volume of substance to the mass of an equal volume of water. Summary. Let us summarize what we learnt in this topic. Friction is a force that opposes the motion of one body over the surface of another body. Static friction, sliding friction, rolling friction are the three types of friction. Thrust is the force which causes compression. The force acting normally on the unit area of a surface is called pressure. The upward force experienced by a body when partly or wholly immersed in a fluid is called upthrust or buoyant force. Archimedes' principle states that when a body is immersed partially or completely in a fluid, it experiences an upthrust that is equal to the weight of the fluid displaced by the immersed parts of the body.